Welcome back, everybody, to Unconditional Surrender in Europe, game designed by Salvatore Vasta, published by GMT Games. This is going to become, I haven't quite decided on the final name of this, but I think I'm going to call it the Thousand Year Reich, because the Germans are being very successful over the last few turns. We are getting ready to go into, what's the turn? August of 1940, and we'll just go ahead and get started. As you can see, the Germans have successfully invaded and captured London, so the sea line is on. Much to my I played horribly as the Western Allies. I allowed the home fleet to be decimated by the German Air Force because I left it in France, and this is the price I'm paying for my stupidity. So away we go. We're in declaration of war. He didn't have any. We're doing economies. See, the markers all move around. Germany's been very successful in their strategic warfare, and then I've also lost a factory, so I'm down to 10 production points with the British. So very little that I can do. Now we go into strategic warfare against the West. The Germans have captured Brest, but they do not have a plane in Stavanger, so they should be at +2. And I'm at a 0. He rolled a 1, which was nice. Of course, I rolled a 1 too, so his 3 to my 1 actually forces me to lose another factory. So that's very unfortunate. And then we go on to strategic movement. He picks up the armored unit. This was the armored unit that was outside of Hungary, and he put it down here in Catania. So he's getting ready to move stuff down here to help with my British. Made a dash here to try and get the Italians out of North Africa, or at least to put them way far away from Egypt as I struggle to deal with the problems in Russia. And then he also flew his airplane down here. And I decided I didn't want to sit in the open, so I put myself back in a city. Unfortunately, I can't get the BEF to the north because the rail lines go through London. So it's kind of stuck in the south, and I figured I'd just try and delay him from running around too far in the north, if at all possible. Soviets didn't have a strategic move, and then we go into the axis up actions. So first thing he does is he flies an airplane up, and that's a legal move because it's in supply through London, technically, because there is a convoy there. So he flies his airplane against the home fleet. I'm a net of -2, and he is a net of +1. He put a sortie on his plane that he shouldn't have. Because he's actually at 0. He's +2 for German, +1 for fighting a fleet, and then -3 for sorties. So it's 0 to -2. He rolled a 4. I rolled a 4, -2. If I'd have rolled a 6, a 5 or a 6, I would have only taken 1 sortie, but I take 2. So he goes up to 4, and my fleet is no more. So he doesn't have to worry about supply. Now he moves the 2nd Panzer Army. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to attack the home guard. I'm starting off at -1. He starts off throws in his airplane. Did I have anything to? He threw in his airplane. He kind of just automatically threw in an airplane, and we kind of both knew I had to defend. So throw in the tank, which will put me up to +1, and he will be at. He's +2 for German, +2 for armor, +2 for an airplane, and -1 for the rough terrain. He rolled a 5, +1 is a 6. I rolled a 5 + 1 is, or 1 + 5 is a 6, and I rolled a 5 + 1 is a 6. So I actually held for a turn. So then he had to spend 3 more movement points to attack me again. He uses, I think he uses the same airplane. Yes. So now he's +5 to my -1. He rolled an 11, and I obliged by rolling low enough to be eliminated rather than retreated. So away I go. He takes Manchester and then moves 2 more movement points to capture Liverpool. So my factory count drops down by 2. So now I'm down to 6 factories. And my willpower also drops by 4 more. So I'm down to 12 will. And then, I pointed out to him, hey, you got to do something about that. He says, I know, I'm going to take care of it right here. He moves his convoy to Le Havre, where he has an infantry unit, and then he picks up the infantry unit, puts it in London. And then he flies his airplane. Let's get this out of the way so you can see this. He tried to figure out where he wanted to put his airplane, and I think he finally decided on Le Havre. I'm not 100% sure. I think that's where it ends up. And now he does, this is a, excuse me, this is a cute trick of his. You'll remember that I took a desperate gamble last turn with the British and did an invasion that failed to take Tripoli. If I'd taken that, this move would not be possible. So he moves his airplane to here and then to there. Gets 2 sorties on it. And then he's going to be attacking the Force H. So he's -2 to 0. He rolled a 3 -1. So he's a 1, or 3 -2, he's a 1, and I rolled a 5. So I got 2 sorties on him, which isn't enough. And then he flies the last one, it doesn't matter. He neutralizes the Force H. And so now he's going to just pointing out things. He decides to move the infantry unit out with the convoy. And I had a real dilemma here. I could have tried to intercept it with the plane and had to roll a 6. Or I could let it go. And I let it go. Ended up landing it in Trento. And I don't know where he put the convoy. I think he landed it with the German. Yes, he landed it with the German Panzer. Then he picks up the Panzer and comes in here. And my idea here was, if I'm going to roll the 6, I wanted to roll it on the Panzer's move, because then the Panzer would be flipped over. So that's what we're trying to do here. And I didn't roll it, I rolled a 1, so he gets in, and he's fine. And then his convoy went back home. And I don't know what else he did here. And then he moved the convoy from Tripoli into Tobruk so that he'll be able to supply the Panzer. So everything's falling apart in a real big hurry. Now he goes after the Hungarians. So he moves there, and I didn't quite understand why he wasted the movement points, but he did. And what the heck is... And I think I told him he couldn't do that because that's part of the Eastern Front garrison. So now we're setting the attack here. Should be down to 3 movement points, not 5. Anyway, he was a +3 because I'm isolated, and I'm a 0. He rolled a 1 plus 3, which is a 5. And I rolled a 5, so 4 to 5, he didn't work. Then he attacked again. And he rolled a 6 plus 3 is a 9, and I rolled a 1, which is an eliminated. So he took the hex and conquered Budapest. That's what we're doing now. Getting rid of all my stuff for the Hungarians. Goes up by 2 willpower and adds in a garrison unit into the eliminated box. Takes a pro marker, and then this is where we made a mistake. In the turn track, he only has 1 pro marker left, and by rule, he should have had to put it in the cup, but we played that it was simultaneous. So this is us just trying to figure out what's in the cup. And he's like, I don't want to put it in the cup. I just want to have... He wanted a pro marker in Yugoslavia. And I, not understanding the rule, said, yeah, it should be simultaneous choice. You get to choose to put it in a marker in the cup or put it in Yugoslavia. That's not true. If you have a marker, you have to put it in the cup first, and then you can exercise this ability to put a pro marker in an adjacent country. So it probably would mean that I would last a little bit longer in Southern Europe. But then the Romanians go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There. And did he move this guy? Yeah, and then he moves the guy in Norway to start going and capturing cities along the Norwegian coast. And now he starts moving units to the east. And I believe he stopped here. If I'm correct. Maybe not. Nope, more German units moving to the east. That's what it is. And then he supplied his German panzer. Guy in Taranto comes out of no supply and becomes supplied. And I think we were done with the German turn here. And then he supplies both German units in England. There's a problem when you update things going into this module. If you have an older version of your save file and you go to the new version, the layer for that grays you out at 6 doesn't take, so you have to put in. So something I was checking, so it's kind of like I have to do that for all these units at some point during the game. Then he's done, and he gives it to the Allied Western Allies. Now here I make. This was my mistake when he took Brest. This convoy should have gone here when it was leaving Brest, so that I'd be able to move the Gibraltar guy this turn, and I didn't do that. Since he doesn't have anything to oppose me, I do move this convoy to here, and then I pick up the Malta unit and go sailing, boom, 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 to here, and he's allowed to intercept me here, and I'm not sure. Yes, he moves him out there. The idea is if he attacks me here, I will have to land in Plymouth. I can't go up to the northern ports. So that's what he's trying to do. Rolled a 5 plus 1, which is enough. It forces me to have to retreat. So I have to go to Plymouth because it's 2 movement points to either Bordeaux or to Plymouth. It's just 1 movement point in the North Atlantic. But to go back into the Mediterranean would cost me 2 for the Strait and one more for 17, so that's farther away, and I have to go to the closest port when I'm interdicted like that. So I ended up in Plymouth. Instead of having the Malta guy, I would have much preferred to have him like in Glasgow or even Belfast to try and hold a northern perimeter, and that didn't work. So Then I spent 2 more to move the BEF. And this is a mistake, another mistake on my part. I go 1, 2, 3, and then just go into Manchester 4, 5. What I probably should have done is not gone here and gone 1, 2, 3. Should have gone this way, 4, 5, and like either 6, 7 to here, or 6, 7, 8 to there. Yes, it means that he can probably conquer me by running around in the south, but then I would at least have a full unit here and some places to build guys. But I wasn't thinking. So, fighting him in the hills instead of moving to the north to give myself a base of operations to try and keep contending with the Germans even after I'm collapsed. So, another in a string of my many mistakes. Then I said, well, this is a lost cause because he has the Panzer there. So I said, excuse me, we're running. So the Western Desert Force moved back. And then I think I moved the garrison unit there. And then I had to do supply. I supplied the Western Desert Force and left the other two not supplied. And then we were done. Soviets didn't do anything. So he goes ahead and takes the Italian Air Force out because he doesn't want to try and supply it or whatever. In the no supply phase. And now, oh, we had forgotten to move the Greeks. This was known, so he let me move the Greeks. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And I get back to my defensive position, having captured Durazzo. So the Italian at will goes down a point, and their production goes down. They lose a factory and a will point, so not a big deal. Okay, here I am doing 5447. What's 5447? I took the expended Port Said convoy, knowing that I'm most likely going to be collapsed here very soon. What I wanted to do is have my fleets already in the mobilization box when I collapse so that I could spend what few points I had to maybe bring something back right away. So I removed them. Don't think I removed anything else. Anyway, in my my eliminated box, I have the convoy there. This is him doing his replacements. I don't think, I'm trying to remember how many points I had left. The British had 4 points left, and I wasn't really sure what to do with them. He flips over his infantry with the Italians. And then he's done, and I go to my replacements. And I brought down this convoy in the hopes of bringing the Gibraltar unit up before he conquered me. Go through upgrade, mobilization. The Axis didn't have a mobilization because they only had 5 points left, so they want to make sure they can do diplomacy. And I get, didn't have anything myself and needed the Soviets, and we get to diplomacy phase, and I'm blowing right by it. So in the diplomacy phase, the Germans pulled a no event. Only the Russians can do something. They put back both no events. So they're just trying to keep the cup diluted. There's no political successes there, and since the Brits can't put one in to let the Russians pull, I figured just try and keep Germany from getting any more allies for as long as possible, because they have no more pro markers. They're either on the board or in the cup. So then we're setting our stuff here. I don't think we get much in the way of turn reinforcements, but we will be rolling some variable. So we get our markers back, and we go into September. And then we will roll the weather. Before we do anything, we go up here and we grab all the things off the map board turn track, which is like almost exclusively German. And he rolls a 3-1, 3-2, 1-2-1. So he's going to get all of his army within 3 months. It all comes in like right away in October, starting in October. So that's unfortunate again for the Allies. The weather, we know it's fair because it's September. And in the declaration of war phase, I don't think he declared war on anything. Going to economies phase for September. And we're ripping right through that. The Germans give the Italians 1. And the British are still sitting at 6 because I recaptured a factory. Not sure that that was the brightest thing to do, but that's what I did. And I believe now we're into strategic warfare against me. He's +2. I'm at 0. And he rolled a 4 + 2 is a 6. I rolled a 5. So I managed to get a factory back. Yay. The next thing is a strategic move. I don't remember what he did. What did he move over here? Oh, he picked up a German infantry and put it over on the Soviet front in Romania through now conquered Hungary. Here's a rail line. Western. Now this is where I could have, if I'd have been thinking, which I wasn't. I mean, I was really disconcerted here. But if I'd been thinking here, I could have railed the BEF, could have just railed up to either to Glasgow to hold out against the Germans, and just give up the ghost and lose England. But again, I didn't. I picked it up and I moved this guy to there to try and make it hard for him to take multiple cities. I was trying to hang on for one more turn, thinking I might be able to do something. And then we're in actions for the Axis. Decides to move his infantry. That's 1, 2, and then 3, 4, 5. So he has 3 left. I'm starting off at a +1. He starts off at a +3. 2 for German, 2 for isolation, -1 for the city. And we go to combat commitment, which is like no-brainer. He throws an airplane, I throw a tank. So he goes up to 5, and I go up to 3. He rolls a 2 + 5, which is a 7. I rolled a 1 + 3 makes me a 4, so I'm flipped. The hopes there was that I wouldn't be flipped on the first attack and force his panzer to have to finish me off. And instead, he attacks again at +3. Did he throw another airplane? I don't think he threw an airplane this time. So I'm at a -1. Oh, no, yeah, yes, he did. He wanted to make sure he had me. So he's +5. He rolls a 2 + 5 is a 7. And I would roll dismally, so that goes away. And that also takes me down another point on my national will. Which takes me down to 1. And then he leaves. He couldn't. Oh, he was flipping over the control marker. So that guy's done, and then he tries to figure out what to do with the armored unit. And he decides to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. You can go there 9, 10. You can get 3 cities. And he thought about it, and he said, not sure I want to do it that way. Instead, he went 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And that's what he wanted to do. I think that's the way he ended it. I sent the fleet to North America because it didn't really matter. I don't know, maybe I throw it in Belfast. I don't know. I set it somewhere. We made sure we put down control markers everywhere. And I am down to 6 will points. 2, 4, 6, 7. I should be down to 5 will points. I think we adjust that in a minute. Then he comes down here to the Mediterranean and moves this guy up to take Benghazi. And then the German Air Force flies in 1. I thought about it and said, do I really want to fly down there? Couldn't make up his mind. I think in the end he decided to not bother. So he's just going to attack with the armored unit. So I'm at -3. He's at 8 movement points left. And he's +4. He rolls a 7. I basically roll a 1, so I'm eliminated. Moves forward, he attacks again. He rolls a 5. I roll a 1, so I'm retreated, so I go back a hex. So he attacks again, gets a 9. At -3, I am eliminated. Fortunately, those guys aren't costing me any will points. Then he moves forward, so he has 1 attack on the Western Desert Force. I'm at a +1, he's at +4. He rolls an 8, and I rolled a 2, so I'm actually flipped and retreated, which was very, very disconcerting. And he takes it, and I fly the airplane away. And now he's just running units around to get ready to garrison things. Moves this infantry off to the east. Advances on Trondheim. And I think we're done. Yeah. So now he's doing supply. I think he's left this guy in low supply, though. If I remember right. Yes, he did. He left him in low supply. And then he supplied the Panzer Army out of Italy, I believe, yes. Since he doesn't have any opposition, he supplied the Panzer and this Italian infantry. And then up here, he supplied both units again because he wants to finish me off, which he should be able to do. So then I pick up the Gibraltar unit, go 1, 4, and then I came out here, and again, I don't know what I'm thinking about. I just retreated to North Atlantic. I went ahead and put it in Hull, which, when you think about it, doesn't make a lot of sense. I should have probably just dropped him in Belfast, so he would have had to attack me to take Belfast. Again, I'm not paying really good attention to what I need to be doing. And then I didn't do anything else. I did my supply. I supplied the Western Desert Force so that I can spend 2 points to flip him over. And we get into the no supply phase, and now you're going to see British units disappear. Because I figure he's got me down to 5 will points, and it's pretty certain if you look up here at England that at 5 will points, I don't really stand much of a chance of stopping him from being able to take 5 points. Again, if I'd have put Gibraltar in Belfast, maybe I would have at least held some place that he couldn't run over. But again, I'm not playing very well here at all as the Western Allies. because we talked about where could I go to try and, you know, cut him down from being able to get 6 points, and it's like there really isn't a good place for me to be. Because if I go there, he's got 2, 4, 6. 1, 2. I mean, he can just run the armor down to take Birmingham. This thing can go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 to Southampton. Armor runs down and grabs Birmingham, or runs over and grabs Belfast. So I don't really have a good place to go. So we talked about where I might have deployed better or whatever, and that's us just making that discussion. Anyway, I'm taking off all the units that I'm never going to be able to resupply anyway. Oh, I'm heading back here. So you see me just remove things. Basically, they'll all be available to be built next turn with what few points I have. And then we're in replacement, so he does his airplane and his convoy. Let's do more airplanes. Oh, this might be... Yes. This is me. I flipped over 2 here, and I had 1 point left. Sure. Oh, he forgot to move his Romanian. I let him go ahead and do that. And he's replacing some airplanes, I think. Couldn't make up my mind where to put the home guard. I put it down there. Again, probably the wrong thing to do. Home guard sitting here could, you know, hopefully guarantee me that I would hang on to Belfast until I was eliminated, but I just couldn't figure out where to put it. So now we're into diplomacy again. And he pulls a no event. So the Russians go put it back. And that's our diplomacy. So England is about ready to fall. And off we go to... oops, I'm doing... This is him just getting... He gets all sorts of stuff really fast here, so... And now it's October. So, and this is the weather phase for the next turn. And it's 646, so it's lousy weather everywhere. I think it's severe, poor, severe. So I get to put all my dead units in the bucket. And let's get this out of the way, this out of the way. And then we'll go through, I think there's another turn here. So we're going to go through here. That's just us doing economies. The British are a grand total of 4 points left because they only have 5 factories and 3 lost. So not a lot of points left here. And then he rolled an 8 and I rolled a 1 on the strategic warfare, so... And then he moves his Italian down to Palermo, or no, he ends up putting it over into Russia. And then I had to think about this, and I was like, where do I go? I can go there. Again, probably not the right thing to do. So he goes ahead and activates the armored and goes 1, 2 across the river, 3, 4, 5, 6 to take Belfast, 7, 8, 9, 10. He's thinking about that, and he goes, what can I do here? He decides he's going to fly the German air into North Africa. Flies it up to there with getting 2 sorties since there's nothing to oppose him, and now his armor is going to be able to attack me at ridiculous odds. So he has the armor in the south go first. He's +6 to my +3 because I throw my tanks right away. He gets a 7. I get a 7, so I hold for 1 turn. Now he'll be +6 to my +1. He rolls a 10. I roll a 4, so I'm flipped and retreated. Would have been better if I could have rolled like a 6 there, 5 or 6, so that I would only have been retreated. He advances, of course, and it has to attack me for 3 movement points, so I'm hoping for a retreat here. I'm at -1, he's at +6. He rolls a 7, and I roll a 5. So I hold, and so he goes down to his last attack and uses up his airplane. He gets a 7, but I can't roll high enough. And a 2, unfortunately, on a 7, combat results table, folks. 7 to a 2 is a DD. If I'd have gotten a retreat, he wouldn't have been able to take Belfast, I don't think. So he goes, okay, I'll do that. Now I'm down to 4 production points left. So he simply goes 1, 2, he's thought about 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and wouldn't be able to come back. And I think he decided that he didn't want to move the infantry unit. He moved the tank instead, which does the same thing, and moves the infantry down to capture Birmingham. And that conquers England. So now we will set him down to his movement points left, and now we start taking things off. Now my strategic move marker goes to the events box. All these guys go to the dead box. I get to put down little green markers that he has to go walking through to capture. Oh, that's me just setting stuff there. So his will marker goes from, he goes up 16, so from 65 to 81. And now he takes, with his automatic success, he goes ahead and activates Turkey. So this is him setting up the Turks. I get my 2 Russian units. I said, you're out of supply there. He's like, yeah, I'm thinking about it. And the more he thought about it, the more he didn't care. So that was the Western actions. I had absolutely nothing I could do because everybody's dead. And oh yeah, he had to finish his movement points. So he captured Cardiff too. Because he had 5 movement points left. He could go 1, 2, 3, 4. And I think he stayed right there because he didn't want to let me run out of Plymouth or anything like that with a strategic move or anything. So and he flew this airplane up to Stavanger. Even though he'll go into low supply, and this guy goes 1, 2, 3, 4, and goes marching off to the north. And some more infantry moving to the east. The Italians move up to help garrison take out the Middle East on me. Then he brought another infantry in to Benghazi. Then he was done. Then he does his supply. And I think he supplied both units there in England. And then airplane. I was showing him how it would take him 2 moves to get back to supply, so he was fine with 3 sorties on it. And the Soviets don't do anything. There's a no supply phase. Now we're to Russian Axis replenishment, so he's getting everything reset. And oh, we had forgotten to let him attack with the Turks, so I let him go do that. And he failed miserably. He rolled a 4. I rolled a... Oh, but we forgot that it was severe, so his 4 is actually a 2. So he can't take the hex. He's like, wait, severe, I don't get that hex. And I was like, oh, you're right, it doesn't. So that was just me placing some more control markers on what I still own. No upgrades, mobilization for the Axis. He had saved points here in his moves. He had 20. No, he did not this turn. Yes, he spent 15 to do his airplanes and all of his Italians. He had moved his Romanians. So then in my mobilization phase, I had 4 production points, so I could build a bunch of units. So I went ahead and built all the things that I'd lost the previous turn and just plopped them down and said, I don't have any willpower to lose anymore, so I'll just go make it harder for you to capture all the cities. Diplomacy phase for the Axis. He pulls another no event, and the Russians put it back. So I'm doing okay there, but... And then we are to turn, which he gets a whole bunch more stuff. And I believe we are going into the weather phase next. And he gets a 6-2-2, which is in fair in the mild, stays severe and fair in the warm zone, which is bad for me. I wanted severe everywhere if I could have gotten it, but... And I'm not sure here if we kept on going. I think we went one more turn. Yes, he declared war on Syria. Then I roll for the Syrians to see if they're going to actually come in. I roll a 2 and they say, no, we're not going to play. And so we go to production. And this is him. He's +3 to my 0. He rolls a 6. I roll 4, so I lose another factory. I strategically moved this guy to there. He moved somebody into the east. I think he moved an Italian to the east. And I just moved to there because, hey, why not? Try and make life difficult on him. And he moves his convoy back there and puts an infantry unit in there. Then he goes here, because now Southampton is isolated. So he's +3 to my -1. We think we go to combat commitment. He throws a plane, I throw tank. So I'm a +1 to his... He also threw in his tanks, so he's 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, -1. +7 to +1. He rolls an 8. And no matter what I do... why did I take him off? He rolled an 8. If I rolled a 5, I could have survived. That's right. And I did. Then he was like, oh, okay. So then he brings the armored down. I said, what are you doing? It's fair weather. You get another attack. He's like, oh, that's right. So he attacked. He got a 7. I got basically a 1, so I'm eliminated. He takes Southampton. And then he brings this guy down over here to kill the garrison. Kaput. Takes Hull and then ends there. The Turks take Aleppo and march down here to get ready to take out Iraq next turn. And then this Turk moves down here and takes Damascus. Started to move forward. We talked about where should it really go, and he thought, maybe it's better here. He attacks with the Turks, throws a ground support. Then he rolls a 2. And I roll, basically a 1. So then he attacks again at a -1, rolls a 2 again. So I just stop him cold. He rolls a 5 for the ground support. It's not coming back for a while. The Italian marches forward 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. The German goes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So conquest of the Middle East is almost done. And it's 1, 2, 3, 4, slowly marching up the coast of Norway. This guy goes ahead and he moves these guys off to the east. Then he was done. Supplied, I think, just the German armored unit. And then all these guys up in England are going to go on low supply. Now we're doing replacements. Now he's building. He's got lots of units to build, so he goes ahead and builds it. Turk's not out of supply anymore. I built the Western Desert Force there and a convoy in Plymouth, which was futile, but I did it anyway. He pulled a no event again. He's been having terrible luck with the diplomacy die roll, and the Russians put it back. I'd say this is not good for us. And then we go forward. He's putting stuff into his card here from the turn track. You got a bunch of stuff. You got more stuff to build. And we're in the weather of November. I think we're going into November. No, into December. So into December we go. He gets basically poor weather everywhere. It does not. He declares war, I believe, on Iraq at this point. Yeah, so I put Iraqi there. Even though I'm going to die, I just figured I should do something. This is strategic warfare against the West. He's +4 now because he has Suez as well. And why did I automatically move? Did he play his airplane? Did he play his sub? I think he was going to automatically play his sub. I think he had a sub to play. Yeah, he was telling me he was just going to go ahead and play his sub. Yeah. Because with my half die roll at +4, minimum he can get to 5. Best that I can get is a 3 because I'd 6 halved to a 3, so I would lose a factory. And then he rolled 6 turns for his submarine. So that was joyous from my standpoint. Won't see that till the summer. I don't know that he did anything with his strategic movement phase. Yes, he did. He keeps bringing Italians over into the east. There's going to be a very large Italian contingent in the attack on Russia. So now we're in the sub-phase here. Goes ahead and moves the 7th up to contain me. Moves the armored into London. And then this Turk goes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Finishes the conquest of the Middle East, which will put the British at 0 factories. And then he activates this Turk and goes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Captures Baghdad, which conquers Iraq. There's his movement there. And he's captured Iraq. I believe at this point he's got all of his markers out because he's conquered well over 7 countries. He's up to 8 right now. So all of these things are out. He had nowhere to play a pro marker because he doesn't have any left, and Iraq's not adjacent to anything, and there was nothing of mine to remove. So he just got the 2 will points out of it, and then the Turk. Oh, we had found out that when he was trying to place a control marker, he had messed up. And then he took Bordeaux and went running up to Nantes. And I think that was just about all he had to do. Oh no, he moved his Germans up to the east. Gets a little difficult counting points here. I said, you can't go that far. Count your movement points. And then he put the Turk that was in low supply there. He moves him into Suez just to have somebody there. And he gets up here closer to Narvik. And I don't know that he supplied anything. I'm trying to figure out what he did. Oh, I had the 4th convoy. It's the British. Did he? Yes, he didn't supply anybody up here. So the British convoy sails away. And he flew. I don't know what he did there. Oh, he chose not to bother going after me. So I sailed into the Western Indian Ocean. And this is another futile hope. I went ahead and put the Western Desert Force in Basra. And it will go into low supply. Replacements for the Axis. Gets his convoy. His German aircraft. And let that guy go to no supply. And he had supplied these 2 guys. And then he was back down to 4. Western replacements. I was able to replace my convoy. The reason why I have points now is I got my Commonwealth stuff, so I always have 6 production points no matter what my factory loss marker is. Because I actually am down to 0. I don't have 1 factory. I actually have 0 factories as the West. So I have 6 points per turn now for a while. And there was nothing to do for the Soviets. He's building units here. And I built the 9th Army in the Indian Ocean. Oh, we went right by the diplomacy. Sorry, folks. In the Diplomacy Cup. The Germans paid their 5, pulled a no event, and the Russians said, put it back. So far, that's been working. It's been diluting the cup against him, and he's been pulling not good stuff for himself. That extra pro marker in the cup might have made a difference on some of his pulls, but he wasn't able to do that, and I let him put it in Yugoslavia instead. And then we go into, this is just us getting, stuff on the off the turn track, a few bits and pieces. Then we advance to the weather phase. He gets a 6, which is severe, and then fair, or poor fair. So, and that's the end of our series. That's the end of 1940. So there you have it, Conquest of England. That's why I'm calling this the Thousand Year Reich, because I don't think I'm going to be able to come back and do anything. We will play it out and see how long it takes him to totally annihilate the Russians and then be able to fight the West. It's a fairly long video here. Sorry, folks. We did a lot of turns, but I wanted to get to the conclusion of this 1940 year and show you the Conquest of England. I'm holding out in Plymouth. We were mistakenly thinking that if he took Plymouth, I wouldn't have to worry about home garrison rules, but home garrison also applies to North America and North Atlantic. So, if he takes Plymouth at the beginning of my operations phase, someone would have to fly home to North Atlantic or the Eastern North America. So in my next turn, I'll be building something there, so I don't have to worry about that particular thing. Fortunately, the rules don't require me to build an aircraft to maintain myself, so if I build one, it has to stay there, but I don't have to build it I don't have to waste my production points for home defense if I don't want to. At least that's the way I understand the rule. Okay, there we go. That's 1940. As always, I'm Dren608. If you like my videos, please hit the like button. That helps the algorithms for YouTube keep these things up where everybody can find them. Also, if you like my videos and you want to see more of them, go ahead and subscribe. I have playlists of all my Unconditional Surrender games, also Civil War by Victory games, and some Starship Troopers games are out there. So there's lots of content. If you're into war games and war games, you might find them interesting. And if not, well, hope you enjoyed what you saw. Until we meet again, stay safe and bye-bye.